Okay, so in the last video we got the window up and running, and what I wanted to do now is create a player entity and add that to the world and try to get it rendered to the screen. We're going to start by making a new header file called factories.h. And right here we're just going to define our factory functions. Most of our factory functions will look like this one and have a reference to the world object. At this point, we're going to make a factories.cpp file and actually build out these functions. First thing we need to do is create the actual entity. We can just do that with the world.create function, and that'll put a new entity into the world. Next thing we're going to need to do is include SDL.h so that we can actually put some data onto this entity. We'll do that with world.inplace. For now, we're just going to put an SDL rect pointer onto the entity and initialize that with a new rectangle. And we'll just put some random data for now. And we'll also put a new SDL color, and in typical fashion, I'll just put a random values into here. And that should be good. So now at this point, we have a function that is going to create a new entity and then put new components onto that. So at this point, we've got a function that creates a new entity and then emplaces some data onto that entity. This will now be in the world, and we can just go over to the window manager and build out the functionality to actually draw that. The first thing we're going to do is create a render rect function, and that's just going to take a world object so that it can pull all of that rectangle data out of each rectangle. We'll start by creating a view of SDL rects and SDL colors. This is going to take anything with a rectangle pointer or a color pointer, every single entity with that, and then put it into this view. And it leaves out all the entities that we don't need. The next thing we can do is just run an auto for loop, which is just going to loop through every single entity. Next thing we're going to do is create a render rect function. This is going to render each individual rectangle entity. And don't forget to make these part of the window manager class. At this point, we can just call world.get and grab the rectangle and color data out of our entity. Don't forget to actually call render rect and pass the correct data. Then the last thing we need to do is just change the SDL render color and then render the rectangle. All right, so at this point we have all of the functionality to clear the renderer, render every single rectangle in the world, and then draw those. At this point, we can head back over to game.cpp. We'll need to include our factory functions. And then right at the beginning, we can just call create player, and we have to pass reference to the world object. All right, so at this point, we can go ahead and run our program, and we should see that player object being created and then rendered to the world. Not the prettiest thing right now, but it's a good demonstration of how to create entities, how to put data onto those entities, and then how to get that out in different systems. All right, I hope you got something out of this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.